Hello everyone, this is Grace. It is October the 22nd, 2022, and we are going to be taking a look at the monthly Sabbath in this study. Now, this is part of the Passover series. However, we're going to approach it a little bit differently. We're going to look at it like we're going to approach it the way that we looked at the 12-hour day when we studied the components of a day in that series. It's going to be a separate study, and we're going to look at just a couple of verses in each video because there are so many verses and some of them require an explanation. Some of them require a little bit more time to explain than others. So let's go ahead and get started. We're starting in Numbers 28. And in the beginning of your months, ye shall offer a burnt offering unto the Lord 2 young bullocks, and 1 ram, 7 lambs of the first year without spot. So let's go ahead and take a look at this portion here. In the beginning of your months, ye shall offer. Now they're telling us this is a monthly offering, but there are 2 words for beginning here. This one, H7218, let's look at the definition for it. From an unused root, apparently meaning to shake the head, as most easily shaken, whether literally or figuratively in many applications of place, time, rank, etc. Band, beginning, captain, chief, chiefest placed, man, things, company, and every man excellent first, forefront, head, height, highest part, I like that. The lead, that's good. Poor, principal, the ruler, the sum, the top. Okay, so here is telling you at the beginning of your months, you shall offer a burnt offering. So let's look at, I can't remember which one I have next, but we're going to look at another example of the use of that word here, 7218. No, let's look at one of the other uses here. Here we go. This one is H7725. Let's look at this. From the same as this is used as the root word, the H7218, the first in place, time, in order, rank, specifically a first fruit, beginning, chiefest, first fruit, the principal thing. So this word right here means first. It doesn't mean the beginning. It means the first. Here, let's read it. A land which the Lord thy God careth. Let's read. Let's try and get some context here. But the land whither ye go to possess it is a land of hills and valleys, and drinketh water of the rain of heaven. A land which the Lord thy God careth for. The eyes of the Lord thy God are always upon it, from the beginning of the year even unto the end. So you see, if you take the year, the very start of the year, the very first day of the year, or the first moment or the first second, however you want to look at it, even until the end of the year, his eyes are upon it. So let's look at the use of the word that's used in Numbers. This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. So here you have it not as the beginning of the month, but as the first month of many months in a year. Do you see the difference? If I want the beginning of the month, the first day of the month, then I would have to use this word, this H7225, because this is the beginning of the year. If there are many months, and this is the first part of the components that make up a year. If there are many months in a year, if there are many months in a year, and this is the first part of that component that make up the year, then I would use the H7218. Where there are many components, there are many components to a month, right? So I would use the beginning of days. Do you see? Because the components are the days. In the beginning of days, it shall be the first day of the month to you. I don't know how to explain it any better than that. Let me read this to you again, and then we're going to go back to the original scripture. This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. The first month in the year is what it's trying to tell you. Because there's 12 months in a year, and we don't know which one is the first month. He's telling you, this is the first month. Not that this is the beginning of the year. It's the first month. This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month in the year to you. Let's go back to our original scripture. In the beginning of your months, not in the beginning of your months, ye shall offer a burnt offering unto the Lord, 2 young bullocks and 1 ram, 7 lambs of the first year without spot. In the beginning of your months is January or September. I'm sorry, you guys. Biblically, in the beginning of your months is September or October. The beginning of your months, 1 month per year. That's it. That's what this means. If you want the beginning of your months and you want the components of it, if you want the, hold on. I'm trying to make sense of something that doesn't make any sense, because this is the wrong word. If they want to put beginnings of months, they can't use this word. They have to use this word, the beginning of the months, because then it is the first part of the month. You see, if they want to talk about the components of the months, then you use days. If you want to use beginning of months, then it has to be the beginning of the months of the year, which is January. 1 month. That's it. That's the only thing that it can mean. Because, and it's still, it's okay as long as you understand the language properly. Here, the beginning of the year, from the beginning of the year, the first part of the year, so it doesn't say specifically day, month, hour, whatever. It's just saying the very beginning of the year, even into the end of the year. Here, it's telling you about the months of the year. So it says, unto you, the beginning of months, the head of the months of the year, this is going to be the first month. Okay, I cannot explain that anymore. I can't. We have to go on. Here we go. A land which the Lord thy God, but hold on, I can't do it. I have to go over it once more just to make sure you got it. I have to look at it. I wish I was looking at it then, so I wouldn't have to do it again. And in the beginning of your months, ye shall offer a burnt offering unto the Lord, 2 young bullocks and 1 ram, 7 lambs of the first year without spot. Even if this were true, it would only mean that you would offer this offering once per year in September or October. That's the meaning of it. Because this word does not mean at the beginning of each month. It means at the beginning of each year, counting by months. All right, that's the definition of the word. So let's go back now. Oh, man. I think I told you guys that I had looked up all of these scriptures. There were so many scriptures. I thought I had looked up all of them. I had not. I looked up a lot of them, and I looked up so many of them. I thought that I did, but then I went back. I was like, wait a second. There's a lot of scriptures here. I didn't look all of them up. Anyway, that was one of the scriptures that I didn't look up, and I'm glad I saw that because I forgot to mention that I was mistaken before. So anyway, let's continue on. Oh, this is another one for the use of beginning. So, of course, there are going to be many revenges here in this, because you can tell by the number 7218 that was used. I will make mine arrows drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh, and that with the blood of the slain and of the captives, from the beginning of revenges upon the enemy. So there's going to be many revenges, and this is just the first. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in the time appointed on our solemn feast day. Now, we already went over this once before. The synchronicity of this is incorrect. This is why this just doesn't make any sense. Well, there's other things that don't make sense as well. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon. Well, our study is about the fact that there is no holiday in the new moon. Cannot remember what I found when I searched blow up. We just addressed it. Hold on. Let me just look at this real quick. Okay, so that's to celebrate. Celebrate by blowing the trumpet in the new moon at the time appointed on the solemn feast day. So let's look at the synchronicity. Okay, because I'm clear. I've reinvestigated it. So, all right. So the synchronicity, which I mentioned in the previous video, is you have 12 months in a year. Then you have one time appointed, and then you have 2 solemn feast days. This is not the way things work in the Bible. It would have to have been 12-1-2 or 1-2-12. That's the way it is. Now, besides that, you have the new moon, which is the beginning of the month, which we celebrate for no reason whatsoever other than maybe to worship the moon. And then you have this time appointed here. This is not the time appointed that are used in order to celebrate the feast days. It's not. This time appointed I marked it. That's so wonderful. Let's take a look at it. For the good man is not at home. He has gone a long journey. He has taken a bag of money with him and will come home at the day appointed. This is the return of Jesus. That's the day appointed. They're not talking about blowing a shofar in order to celebrate a holiday. They're talking about blowing the horns of the silver horns of Numbers 10. So here you have listed new moons, which are not holidays. You have the return of Jesus, blow up the trumpet on a non-holiday. At the return of Jesus. Are these two things equivalent? They're not at all equivalent. They literally have nothing to do with one another. The new moon is just something that has been appointed as a holiday for no other reason. It's moon worship. It's what it is. It's worshiping a day. It's no different than sun worship, really, is what it is. It's just other than, well, I cannot say that. I take that back. I'm sorry. It's different because, well, I can't say it's different because they've added a lot of sun worship in the Bible. They've also added moon worship, but I just think that there's been a lot more attention given to the sun worship than the moon worship, and that's why I cannot put them on the same level. Because all over the place you have people saying, don't worship the sun. The sun, the sun, the sun, the sun, the sun. We just don't see anything near that in regards to the moon. Even though it was added to the Bible for the same reasons, it's nowhere near the level of sun worship. It's just not. It can't be compared. And so, yeah, I was wrong to say that. It's the same. There's the same difference. So you have a new moon, which has just been plucked in the Bible as a day of worship for no reason. You got to start questioning these things, people. You have to start questioning, why are we worshiping these things? Why are we being told to worship things that have nothing to do with God? They become idols to us. And one of the scriptures that we're going to look at in Ezekiel, I mean, it sinks to the lowest depths, man. It's horrible. In the time appointed on our solemn feast days. Our solemn feast days are, let's take a look at some of them. And I looked at the word solemn before. All right, so let's look at some of the solemn feast days. Unleavened bread shall be a feast unto you. See, because this is not the usual number. Usually they use the number of appointed days. Keep the feast of unleavened bread. Feast of ingathering. The fact that all of these feasts are listed as feast days and the new moons are excluded, shouldn't that, the feast of the Passover, shouldn't that be a red flag that this is not real? If this is a real holiday, how is it that it's just a holiday where we just worship the moon? I mean, it's excluded from all of the other days. It's not a feast day. It's not a time appointed. It's just a Sabbath? Is that what we're supposed to believe? We're going to look at the other scriptures. Let me see what I put next here. See if it's something we can do quickly. Okay, we'll do this one and then we'll close out. And then we'll see what's next. We'll see if we have time. They kept also the Feast of Tabernacles as it is written, and offered the daily burnt offerings by number, according to the custom, as the duty of every day required. And afterwards offered the continual burnt offerings, both of the new moons and of all the feasts of the Lord that were consecrated, and of every one that willingly offered a freewill offering unto the Lord. Now, I had a problem with this, as you can see. This word all here, it really... Let's read this portion. And afterward they offered the continual burnt offerings, both of the new moon. So it has the word both here is really why I have a huge problem with this word all, because both implies two. So if you have both the new moons, okay, that's one, and because it's supposed to be one per month, so I can do that. But then they have all of the set feasts. That's more than two. That's way more than two. And these are all different things. The moons are once per month. I can count that as one. But when you have all of the set feasts, it's a problem. But it's only a problem to me. It doesn't make the syntax of the scripture incorrect. So I have to accept this. Not to mention, not only that, there's only two things mentioned here. So there's no order that is required. All right. But so let's address it as though it is real, and then I'm going to tell you the way it was originally written, because it's not actually accurate. It just doesn't, even though the syntax is correct, it's still not real. It wasn't written this way. They kept also the Feast of Tabernacles as it is written, and offered daily or day by day the burnt offerings by number according to the custom as the duty of every of every day by day required. And afterward they offered continual burnt offerings, both of the new moons and all the set feasts of the Lord that were consecrated, and of everyone that willingly offered a freewill offering unto the Lord. So here it says that these two are continual offerings. However, we've already established that the continual offering that they established for the new moons is not actually a continual burnt offering for new moons. It's one offering that's done at the beginning of the year in September. They didn't write it correctly, people, friends. They didn't write it right. So now here they have moons. There's no such offerings. There's no offerings on the new moons because they didn't write it correctly. It's wrong. This should read, and they kept also the Feast of Tabernacles as it is written, and offered the daily, and they offered the daily burnt offerings by number according to the custom as the duty of every day required, and afterwards offered the continual burnt offerings of all set feasts of the Lord that were consecrated, and of everyone that willingly offered a freewill offering unto the Lord. There were no new moon offerings. Anyway, we still have some time, so let's see if I can do another one quickly. I can't remember this. Let's see. Well, let's read it. Even after a certain rate every day, offering according to the commandments of Moses on the Sabbaths and on the new moons and on the solemn feasts 3 times in the year, even in the feast of unleavened bread and in the feast of weeks and the feast of tabernacles. Okay, this is another where things are listed off. So let's check and see if there is synchronicity in the days. Sabbaths, which can be 52 or once a week is fine. And then the new moons, there's 12. And the solemn feast, okay, and then that's 3. So 52, 12, and 3. That's actually okay. Because this can be once a week or anyway, that's fine. So after a certain rate, okay, so, all right, I remember this now. So even after a certain rate, day by day, offering according to the commandments of Moses on the Sabbaths and on the new moons and on the solemn feasts. So when you look at the pattern of this, the synchronicity checks out. The numbers align. Everything is listed appropriately. However, when you come here, it says 3 times in the year, even in the Feast of Unleavened Bread and on the Feast of Weeks and in the Feast of Tabernacles. So you have to wonder, why is this listed out when nothing is spoken of up here? Well, so logically speaking, you would see the Sabbaths and something listed, and then the new moon something listed, the solemn feast and something listed, if they're going to take the time to list out the solemn feast. Otherwise, it would just say the Sabbaths, the new moons, and on the solemn feast, period. But that's not what's being done here. See, what they're doing is they're dwindling down. Let's start here. Let's start here. Maybe some context will help put it into perspective. Then Solomon offered burnt offerings unto the Lord on the altar of the Lord, which he had built before the porch. Even after a certain rate, day by day. So they start off with the days, offering according to the commandment of Moses on the Sabbaths, week by week, and on the new moons, month by month, and on the solemn feast. So why do they have to list out the solemn feasts? Because this happened 3 times a year. It's not year by year. It's 3 times a year. in the solemn feasts, which are once a year. That's why it came last. But it's 3 times a year. That's why they noted it like this. The Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is once a year, the Feast of Weeks, which is once a year, and the Feast of Tabernacles, which is once a year. They put it like this in order to maintain the synchronicity of the scriptures, so that there would not be a conflict with the, I really think so that you could see the spectrum that they were doing. So you could see it was every day of every week, of every month, of every year, and so on and so forth. That's what they're doing here. That's why that's written like that. It doesn't have anything to do with the new moons. You could say the Sabbaths, the months, and you could say the weeks, the months, and the years. And that's probably why it's in order, by the way, because usually I saw a lot of them where they just stuck it at the beginning, and it messes up everything when they do that. They'll put the months, the Sabbaths, the feast. No, it's not supposed to be written like that. This is not the way it works. But this is correct. Because it's trying to show the spectrum of the year. Anyway, we're going to stop there. And we'll just be doing, like I said, a few verses at a time in each video in order to approach these monthly offerings. All right. I will talk to you in the next video.